Alrighty. Hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, before we do begin, let me give a brief little review. In the last part, we had a lot of things happening. We had Deku and his party, who they've begun their investigation and are continuing it. Now, they've been in the Feywild for almost 3 days, and right now, their investigation has gotten very complex. They, in the last two, have learned quite a bit. Deku, he was doing very well. He didn't make a deal with the Fae in the first 24 hours. However, yeah, that kinda got derailed very quickly. He accidentally made a deal with Fova, the granddaughter of the Archfey, and he can't go back on that. Right now, she's helping in his investigation. And Izuku, instead of trying to cause dissent in the court by posing one of the courts as potentially the murderers and causing a disturbance, he did something that he never thought would be possible. He went directly to the victim to ask them questions about their own murder. And these questions were quite simple. They don't have much to go on. But so far, evidence keeps pointing back to Kefren potentially being involved. He wanted Deku in his debt. That way he could be appointed as somebody on the Seelie court. However, it doesn't make sense. The queen was in the room whenever Deku asked these questions in Sylvan, and she was cracking up. Deku let people speak badly and plainly in front of him. He doesn't want the court members nor her granddaughter to know he speaks their language. And she found it to be quite amusing. She is witnessing quite a lot of things, and she even tried to strike a deal with Deku later. However, Izuku, he's trying to find out who may be making deals with devils. And this isn't good. While Kefren is the likely suspect at the moment, being involved in his own father's murder, he was supposed to meet his father that same night. Had he drunk from the same wine at the same time if they were to toast, he would have been a second person murdered. He's powerful, and he does have his own steps already going to become an archfey. He's Deku's age, and he's powerful. That does say quite a bit. Now, Deku, after him and the queen sat down away from others, talked. She was quite intrigued that Izuku took as long as he did to select a skill. However, Deku, he had to go over a lot of ideas in his mind. Some of these skills were things he never thought possible. Some were fantastical. And some, they were unique. Though ultimately it did boil down to 3. He chose one because it may give him the ability to learn one of the 2 he wanted. And that was quite simple. Now, currently the group, they have a map and are heading to the location where an obelisk potentially containing a demon may be. They are supposed to investigate it and make sure it is still intact. If it isn't, this may be a problem. If the demon got out, then it is likely it's involved in their current situation. Now, the party is as followed. Deku, Pyra, Oliver, Indra, and Fova. Fova will be their guide. And Izuku, upon getting his new skill, Polygloth, he also was made aware of a lot of things. He's a hero. Yes. Serving people and helping them is in his nature. He's a good person. But the Fae are viewing that differently. And if he can get things planned out accordingly, he can break even here, if not even have the queen owe him a favor. Though he will still be in debt to the princess. Which, knowing that deal, it isn't that bad. But that's the issue. Right now, he's trying to break even. And having her alongside with him, while it could be dangerous, it could also give him an opportunity to put her back in his favor. So, it means quite a bit. If it gets too dangerous, he'll have to step in. Though right now, there's a lot happening. And we do currently have the party members. They all begin to gear up. And whenever Deku does get to step out into the courtyard, a lot of people do stare at him. Right now, Oliver in his own gear. He is in plate armor, and he does stand there fastening his sword to his side. And Izuku, he does go to walk forwards as Oliver does go to turn his head. Pyra, fixing her gloves and even holding up the bow Deku, got her back in Usera. Her a bit happy, as Deku does get to step out in his armor. And Indra, she has to turn her head, smiling herself. Since Erodas, she found the man who was making Deku's armor, and she stated quite plainly what to do. The man has a title among warriors, so he needs a warrior's armor. Something like simple leather from a wyvern and plates layering above will not be satisfactory. And Izuku, he does stand there. An armor more akin to a shogun, a samurai. And it does go glow purple and black. The leather along with the metal plates in front of him. They do get a line along his torso running up to his collarbone. Before they do to split off into plated shoulder blades that do go to lower down onto his arm. And Izuku, along with his Nodachi, does feel like a proper samurai. All he's missing is a helmet. One that does keep to the theme. And this, it does mean a bit. Currently, him going to express, bring up his arm and going to flex it before he does go to bring his left arm up, putting it above his head. And he does go to think to himself about how the iron plates, they should be fine. They're powerful and sturdy. Though it did cost him a little extra. Erodas definitely put in a word. Or a couple, considering the fact that whenever he went to go pick it up, the guy seemed like he was a little threatened. And he did have to apologize for that. She was an associate of his, someone he fought side by side with. And the man, he can understand the intensity of an Oni is only matched by their battle prowess. It was good, but leaving him some extra money didn't hurt. Especially considering the fact that he might have more work from when he does get back to Granola. Hopefully, though, it's only minor repairs. Deku looking at the gauntlets that do sit on his arms. As his party, they do get ready. And whenever Fova does come to step out, she does get to stand there. Her turning directly towards Izuku and looking at him, raising her eyebrows as Deku does go to express. He's just wearing armor. Your plates, they're iron. It was strong and sturdy. Plus, they ran out of some other material. I see. I'm not sure you should be wearing that just yet. They are allergic to iron. I do not like to be in proximity of it. Her raising her hand above her mouth and covering it. Nizuku does stare at that. They're weak to iron? And he does note that down mentally. As they do go to climb into a carriage and they do get to head off. Right now, Izuku wanting to ask the question while in the wagon about it. And Fova does get to tell him, in large quantities, iron can burn them. In small quantities, it can irritate their skin, like an allergic reaction. I believe that is your term for it. Though, if you are thinking what I believe you are thinking, then I would have to say no. What do you mean? The victim, the way he was burned, I am unsure if it would be iron. It would take a large quantity to burn him. That is true. Deku lowering his head, opening his inventory and checking on his skills. He can see the wall that does talk about his own unique abilities. And he does see that he does have one simple one labeled. He's got quite a few skills. Though, that's another problem. Okay. Deku going to look over at his menu about his weapon, seeing that his affiliation with it has been noted, along with seeing the enchantments the weapon does carry when he does go to inspect it. And he does go to see it. The silver hue, the purple glow. And it does go to float there in front of him. The enchantments, simply, there's 3 of them on this blade. It's nice. And right now, he can't wait to use them. But they've got another issue. If they're outside the palace, people who are suspicious might be talking. And that can get bad. Deku going to express, reaching out to Aztoth, one thing. Right now, he needs Aztoth to listen to him. The dragon sitting up in its bed. Right now, going to uncoil around a shiny object. And Izuku does get to tell it. He needs it to fly around the castle and try to listen to what people say about the man who died. Members of the Seelie and Unseelie court. He saw them when they arrived. They were in that big room with the shiny floor. Shiny? Yes, shiny. Listen, I will find you something shiny if you listen to me. Go around and see what you can hear. It might be in Sylvan, so if you think it's important, then I can understand. You can? This surprising Deku. And the dragon does confirm. It understands. Him slowly trying to think about that. Okay, that's interesting. Right now, Aztoth going to express. It will look around. Though, can it take shinies? Yes, you can. I can maybe deal with that. But you'll need to understand. If you take something, it can get me in trouble. And if I get in trouble, then I don't exactly think we'll be getting good food for some time. The dragon letting out a cry of annoyance. Before Deku does tell it, act like it is trying to take shiny things. Though someone does get a little too close to fly away. He will make sure to get him something really good later. And the creature does understand, turning to fly away and find what Deku might need for his investigation. And this, he is happy about. Right now, him going to turn his head up, looking around the wagon. As Indra does express in a language Deku doesn't know. She still can't believe she's got to deal with this. Deku recognizing that, before her next sentence is translated for him. I still can't believe Father's doing this. A stupid student. Theodore shouldn't have done that. I still can't believe it. Her muttering in Draconic. And Deku does open his mouth, wanting to test this new skill, and he can feel these words flowing into his mind. So, this is what it can do. Interesting. Him staring at her. And Indra, while she is in her mutters, does go to look up, asking Zuko, what? Hmm? Sorry. Just got a few things in my mind. I'm still trying to figure this all out. I'm sure. I'm just trying to figure out how the hell a devil could be involved in this. They're chaotic creatures. You don't like them? No. In fact, I'd say I do not like them at all. They might be creatures who are powerful, but they're evil. They're willing to make deals, not honor them, and even try to screw you over. I like the Fae less. However, I can tolerate them more. I do not like being here, and I do not like that we have to play politics. They are beneath us. The Fae are politics. Does it matter which? I believe it does. Vova going to step in, expressing to Indra that she does believe it would be best if she just sit there and be quiet. And Indra does get a turn, momentarily surprised before she does express. Fine. But she does still have to say, it is annoying. And Pyra does turn to Indra for looking at Vova, since she used her name and she listened. Her looking at Izuku. For Deku, he does gotta bring his hand over his mouth and use message. Right now, him telling Pyra. Long story. Whenever he was asleep, she used magic to get into his dreams. Her staring at him before he does continue. He accidentally said her name. He didn't give Indra's name to her. He doesn't know how that would work. But she knows it. Does she know anything else? No. Though that's where the deal was made. Her nodding her head slightly and looking back at Vova, still annoyed that she's traveling with them. Then Vova does go to step over and look out of the front of the wagon. Her going to point out to Oliver that place over there. Follow the path leading forward. There will be somebody there, but the road should be cleared. What do you mean? Just follow it. Okay, fine. Him going to turn down the left path and continue down the road. Still worried about them doing this. He's driven wagons before, but right now, if you told him he'd be in the Feywild driving a wagon with a princess, yeah, he'd say that you're crazy. Though some of the stuff around here does have him very creeped the fuck out. I mean, it's so weird. And right now, Deku, he does sit there, turning to Pyra and holding her hand, before Vova does get to sit down on Deku's lap, her leaning her hand behind his head and turning to him, asking in common exactly what he thinks they might find at the dungeon. And Pyra does glare at Vova, as Deku does freeze. Indra going to laugh to herself. And Deku, he does go to use Misty Step to teleport. Right now, him reappearing on the other side of the wagon next to Indra, as Vova does go to fall onto the seat he was on, leaning against the wall and staring directly at Pyra, expressing, what? She is quite curious. He is a interesting individual, wouldn't she agree? He is, and he's also taken. Her crossing her arms. I see. You know, you are a ranger, correct? I believe we can come to an arrangement. You are all aiding the hero. I believe you can make a deal with my grandmother. Even me. I do know the dragon's name, so I believe that I will have the power there to bargain. My grandmother does not. If you wish to bargain, dragon? Her glaring. And right now, she's going to realize what the Archfey is doing. Annoyed, but still listening. Not saying anything for the remainder of their journey. And the awkward ride, it is about 3 hours. Right now, them pulling to the side of the road and going to see some ruins. And this, it is odd. It looks like there was an operation here. It was some sort of mining place. It's in the side of a mountain. If you look up, it looks like there was something built along the wall, but it may have been torn down. Storms, potentially? But then there's the buildings outside. Old, decrepit, missing roofs. And that's another thing. They're burned. And then there's what he does get to see in front of him. The place is open. Large, towering doors that do sit on the wall. And they're made of metal. Them making their way forwards. Deku going to bring his hand up and touch the wall. As he does, gonna push the door open further and step inside. Seeing that the door, it does have rust on it, and the feel of it. Fova stepping forwards, for she herself does to cover her mouth. And she does get to express these doors are made of iron. And they should have been closed. Her going to turn to Oliver, expressing, does he still have the key? I do. But I don't understand. Iron doors? So no Fae may enter. We do contract people to come here. However, we have not done so for a short time. In human terms, I believe somewhere 60, 70 years. I see. So we must investigate. Deku turning his head, getting a sense for something wrong, before he does begin to see it. Right now there's something, him drawing his weapon immediately as his sheath does disappear in his inventory. Him pulling the weapon free from his side and going to wield it forward. And whenever it does go to glow, he does go to watch it. It emitting a blue mist as the team, they do get ready. Pyra going to hold up her bow as she does go to send a flaming arrow down the hallway. And Oliver does grab his weapon, as Indra does go to wield her claws and get ready. Right now, them going to stand there and watch as the arrow flies in the hallway and through the specters, through the spirits of people who must have been here. And this, it's bad. Right now, them staring at that as Fova does step forwards, bring her hand up and going to have a spell circle form in her hands. As she does begin to cast, right now a beam of light going to shoot down the hallway and blast through some of the specters. And Deku does get to stare at that. Before he does, going to bring his hands up and try to cast fire at them. Right now, him going to watch it fly through the air and down the hall. Him seeing that and going to switch, bring up his weapon and trying to think. Blasting magic down the hallway and seeing what it may do. And this, it is not good. Right now, him going to hear from Fova, who does express that light magic will work. They do not like it. However, she doubts that they have salt. Deku turning to her. As he does, go to bring his hand up and manifest salt from his inventory. It is one of their items they brought along this journey to preserve meats and even season their food. And right now, Deku, he might need to go through some of them. If not, a bag. This being where, whenever one of the specters do get close enough with their hands, he does go to throw a handful of salt out at it. And it does go to take the attack, and it does it a recoil as if it was thrown acid into his face. And Izuku does stare at that. Right now, him going to turn. Pyra, she doesn't stand there, still trying to think about what to do. These specters, they're terrifying. They're like the undead, but they cannot be harmed. And while she has to freeze Fova, she does go to blast out light magic directly at them. And Izuku, he does think about it, sighing for a minute and going to bring his hands up. Thinking about how this may work. He learned this damn spell for vampires, but if it's light magic they want, it's light magic they're going to get. And the creatures, they do begin to come towards them. As Deku, he does wave his hands around and begin an incantation. Right now, everyone turning to him as he does going to create a massive wall that is to shine brightly in front of them. And the specters, they do to recoil in fear. As they do try to either get away from the wall of light or try to fade through the walls. However, they are burned. And Izuku, he does stand there, bring his hands up and holding them out. Okay, right now this is interesting. It's something else. Him raising his hands and looking down the hallway. He might have to pull a Kirishima here. Opening his inventory and going over to his skill tree. Before he does go to invest in level 3 light magic. And this, it does mean quite a bit. Fova watching Izuku, who does go to bring his hand up, and it does mean a show with light. Deku increasing it to level 5 as it does glow brighter and then disperse around his hand. Him looking up and bring up his hand. And she does it to watch on. She felt magic flow through him. She felt him learn that, and how is that possible? Her staring on, awestrucken. She just watched somebody manifest a magical connection, form a connection with an elemental magic in no time flat. She knew that he was something, but her still slack-jawed. And while the specters do come down the hall, Deku, he does gotta bring up his hands. As he does go to send blast of light down the hallway into the specters. And this, it does go to take some of them out and repelling others. Him watching as they do in a crowd around them, making their way down the hallway as Deku does bring his hands together. Him holding them out in front of him and beginning an incantation. Light come to his call. Divine be it and burn. As it does get a blast in the hallway and begin cutting into the specters. Deku parting his hands and covering the entire hallway. As the beast and specters do begin to disperse and be taken down. And Izuku's system does inform him. He has leveled up. He is currently at level 76, and he has gained available skill points to spend. Deku going to look down the hallway, and right now, he is curious about this. But he only stepped through the door. Okay. Him bring up his hand and going to cast Dazzling Fire. As right now, small little balls of fire do appear above them. Him going to begin walking in the hallway as 5 of them do float forwards directly above him and his companions, expressing, "They've got to get through this very fast. There's no telling what's happening right now, and while Astoth is back at the capital, he needs to hurry up. This place is giving him a bad feeling, and it's already messing with him." Deku sucking a breath and trying to think. Light magic wasn't one he wanted to have. Now he does. It may come in handy against a vampire. He must keep that in mind. He'll encounter many strange creatures, and having something he can use immediately will be good. But he will hear about it from Sir Theodore. He'll understand, but he won't be happy about this. Deku resigning himself to further training in his mind already. Though he could use the rest of the safety net to invest into ice magic. If he can master it, then he can move on to something else. Then Theodore may not be as mad. And this thought is interesting in his mind. He should have enough points to master it, but then have a few left over, just in case. Deku going to shake that thought out of his mind. He wants to get stronger. He wants to be better. He wants to save people. In this intensity, he can feel it. And right now, his power, it does begin to pour off of him. His unique skill, active. And everyone, they can see Deku pouring with magical energy. In it does feel a little intense. Right now, he does have many of them concerned. As there is, we're going to walk down a hallway and see more of these specters. Deku raising his hand as his ability, it does get a leap directly from him. Right now, his spirit rushing down the hallway to gore through these specters. It making contact with them and beginning to take them out. And Izuku, he does to watch that. Watching as it does gonna knock the head off of one of the specters. Rushing in and slamming one directly into the ground. For the being, it does go to explode into a burst and disappear. And the group, they do watch on. Right now a bit surprised that happened. And after Fova does get to follow the map, she does get to lead them to a staircase, where they do begin to descend. Now, the fires do continue to follow them, and the group, they are talking about a few things. Fova does stand close to Deku. On her other side is Indra. She does feel comfortable being here with these two titans at her side, though she does get to ask the question to Izuku. He learned light magic, did he? I just invested into it. Invested? You did not know it prior? No, I didn't. I did it just now. You can do that. What do you mean? Learn magic on the fly. I've never heard of that technique. Is it something that others can learn? I don't believe so, no. I can tell you about it, but maybe we might have to make a deal. Perhaps not. Her smiling at him and telling him she did want to use her favor to learn more of his world. He is a planeswalker. Planeswalker? Yes. You used a trinket to travel the plains, did you not? There are many stories of people like you. But you were chosen by a deity. He told you where to walk? No. He brought me here. He brought you. Them descending the stairs. As Deku, he does do one thing. The moment he has to step down the last step, he has to hear a sound, going to bring his hand up in front of his group and stopping them. Okay, what was that? Pyra? I heard it. Her bring her hands up and pushing past Sova, or Fova. Right now, her going to look forward and looking around. Her bending down and asking Izuku to lower the flame. And she does try to inspect the ground for traps. If that sound was something, it could have triggered something already. But no one felt anything move, did they? I didn't. No, I didn't either. I didn't. I did not. Okay, good. We should be safe. Her going to try and look in front of them and telling Deku to send the flame further down the hallway. I'm going to do so. And it does make Deku realize one thing. This is the first time he's been in a dungeon. Though these are ruins. Okay, so there's got to be rules to this. He'll follow them for right now. She was an adventurer before he met her. Okay, he'll trust her judgment. Her looking at the ground and trying to inspect it. Though the dark area around them, it does make it a little bit harder. The light is bright, but her mind is a little preoccupied. Her thinking of the person behind her, she wouldn't mind letting fall into a trap. And right now, she has a stand, expressing about how she doesn't see anything. In the group, they just step forwards, Deku walking directly up next to her and trying to ask if she's okay. And they do make it halfway down the hallway. As she does try to express, it's just that Deku's stepping on something. Her looking down and going to look around. Before there is a sound. And the ceiling, it does begin to fall. Deku throwing his hands up as Indra and Oliver do follow suit. Right now, Pyra and Fova lowering themselves down to the ground. And whenever Deku and the other two do to catch the ceiling, they do get to stand there. Right now, Deku feeling the weight begin to come down. Him manifesting his spirit and beginning to push upwards. Right now, the other two beginning to push and beginning to feel their muscles go to untense a bit. And Deku, he does get to push harder. Right now, Indra doing so as well. Now that she can get her proper bearing and some proper leverage. Her going to stand up as they do begin to push it back. And Oliver, he does comment on it. Okay. What do they do? I got it, guys. Pyra. What? You know traps, right? What do we do? Give me a second. Fova crawling forwards. Her telling Pyra they need to disable it. They need to find something to grab it. If it is a trap to deter thieves, it must be able to be reset. Did magic set it off? I do not know. These are not my dungeons. I know nothing of this place, except for the map and the layout. Her turning her head, looking around for something. Pyra going to follow her as the two, they do go to move. Fova casting dazzling lights as the two, they do find themselves in an area lit up now. As there is where Fova does get a turn. Looking around for her hand does get to find a switch. Her pulling it as there is where the item that they're holding, it does feel heavy. And Oliver, he does try to push back as hard as possible. These wristbands, these bracers Deku gave him, they are increasing his strength. Hell, they probably would have been crushed without them. Jesus. Right now, him looking towards Deku, and he can see Deku's muscles are bulging. He can see that Izuku, he does have spirit pouring from his fucking eyes. And that creature, it is pushing as hard as it physically can. As Deku, he does it to manifest it. It being to push and hold this thing up a bit higher. Oliver finding himself fully extended, trying to hold this damn thing up. And Indra, she does go to express. They need to move. Right now, them trying to figure this out. And Fova she does get a yell to Pyra, asking if she found something else. There might be another mechanism on the wall. She found one here. Pyra turning, looking at the wall and beginning to try and find what she can, padding along it and trying to find anything that moves, anything that can click. And when she does go to begin rummaging around, Deku, he does get to make a sound of exertion. We're now him telling the two to run. He can hold it up. And they do get to trying to deny him this. This is bad. He can't hold it up alone. And Oliver, while he's tempted to try to move, the moment he does, it will collapse on the two. And Indra, as much as she does hate to admit it, she cannot abandon these two. They are members of her party. And this, it is just another challenge she needs to overcome. Her feeling this thing push her muscles to the limit before she does go to turn. Watching as Oliver, he does go to have one of his muscles begin to tear. It coming back down as Deku does try to hold this thing up more himself. And Deku does get a notification from his system as he does go to use his spirit and try to push it further back up. Indra going to help Deku. As Renault Oliver, he does not fall forwards, clutching his arm, and he is howling out in pain. And the two, they do finally find the switch. Pyra and Fova clicking both of them as the rock, trying to crush them, does begin to move back up. And Izuku, he does it to fall forwards. Him and Indra falling to one knee and trying to gain their bearing. Trying to catch their breath after that near-death experience. And Oliver, he does somewhat burst out laughing a bit, talking about how they're alive. And he does go to clutch onto his arm. Deku going to sit there, feeling how his muscles, they hurt, feeling how bad they feel torn. Though he does get to use healing magic on himself. His system telling him again about how his strength level has increased, along with his durability level. He does a turn, casting healing magic at his allies as he does get to ask them if they're alright. And right now, they do get to somewhat try to laugh this off a bit more. Indra huffing and puffing as she does lean on the corner, trying to recover, but Deku can see her physically sweating. And Oliver does climb back up to his feet, holding his arm, before he does it to move it, talking about how that was definitely one of the craziest things that has happened. I know. Although we got lucky. Luck has nothing to do with it. Fova walking back up. Pyra running back over to make sure they're all okay. And Fova just stare at Deku. She saw that. Wordless spellcasting. He didn't utter a word at all, say a phrase. And he used healing magic. That is more intermediate magic. It takes a while to learn. If you get the chant wrong, then it won't work as properly. And this, just keep in mind. And right now, Deku, you can tell by the look on her face. This is not good. Though she still won't smile, commenting on how she saved their lives. And this does annoy Izuku, as she does comment that now they must move on. Hopefully, though, they can get past. Going to walk in the hallway and look around, trying to be wary of the traps and telling the ranger to come along, since it does appear they need to progress carefully. And while Pyra is annoyed, she does have a point. Right now, she'll have to keep this to herself. Though, perhaps later they can come to some sort of arrangement. Hopefully, however, she would have the advantage. Now, they do gotta carefully navigate through the corridors, trying to disable traps when they can and spending a bit more time here. And after about 2 hours, they do go to get around the traps, disabling some and avoiding others, as they do finally come to a door and go to open it. Them stepping in and getting ready, as the room is empty. Okay, this is odd. There's just a statue standing there, and there's a door at the far end of the wall. Is that a gargoyle? Deku's stepping in, Oliver following suit and asking what they're going to do. If that's a gargoyle, then this could get bad. I'm not sure. Deku stepping into the room and bringing up his blade, as he does go to step directly up to the statue and stare at it, going to hold up his weapon as it has yet to move, telling the creature, going to reach out and sense anything from it. He doesn't sense life force, but gargoyles aren't alive, are they? They're made of stone, typically. They're animated creatures? Maybe he should do more research on those. There's a lot in this world he has to learn. Way more than he wants to admit. That on his mind. And right now, he does wield his sword back and go to stare at it. Oliver walking past as Deku does keep his weapon precisely aimed at this creature. Oliver making his way over to the door and talking about how it's writing. Deku going to turn, looking at Oliver and asking what it says. To which he does state, he doesn't know. And whenever Fova does go walking over to it, she is going to read the writing literally on the wall. It's in Sylvan. And it's a riddle. Her telling Deku this, as she does look back and see him still staring at this creature, before he does go to lower his weapon and slowly walk past it, aware that if it does animate, they'll have to fight it, walking over and looking at the wall. And Fova does look at Deku. His eyes are trying to track the language. He's staring at it. He must understand Sylvan. Know it at the very least. Her suspicions, they must be correct now. But no, if that's true. Her aware of what she said in front of him earlier. And now, this does have her highly annoyed. Do you need me to say the riddle? No, I can read it. Your grandmother gave me a skill earlier. Really? Wait, she taught you Sylvan. You got another skill? Yeah. And what skill would that be? Well, I can understand any language I hear. Her staring at Deku. Indra's face dropping, as that skill seems unique. It seems rare. And Izuku does express in Draconic. It's quite fun, actually. Him giving her a grin that does gotta grow wider, the more angry her face is a turn. And she does gotta tell him, in Draconic, not to use her language. It is not something the mortal tongue should know. And Izuku does tell her. Perhaps they can argue about this later. Right now, they've got to figure out what this wall says. And everyone does stare at the two, both annoyed and confused, since the sounds they're making are odd. And Deku, he does go to speak in English and Draconic at the same time, saying a jumble of words no one can understand, before he does go to close his mouth and speak out in Sylvan. He knows what the wall says now. It's quite easy. Fova looking a little relieved, but still surprised. As Deku does express in Elvis, looking back to Common, that it's a bit odd. Okay, so what is the answer? Indra going to express if they plan to share what the wall does say? Many think they have me. I can lead you forward. Fools don't have me, but warriors know me. Those who don't know me go nowhere. What am I? Seriously? That's it? That's an odd riddle. Life? No, that doesn't make sense. Deku hearing a sound, turning his head back to the gargoyle behind them. And that is not good. I don't know what it could be. Money? Indra stating. Deku hearing another crack, telling them, stop. What is it? Okay. Who has an actual answer? Say it and listen to the gargoyle. What do you mean? Okay, whatever that thing is over there. It's making a noise. You guys didn't hear it? Weapons. Them hearing a cracking sound. As Deku's turn back and look at Indra, asking if that was seriously an answer. You wanted me to say something. It wasn't a guess, but it's gotta be something simple. A one-word answer? Otherwise, it would still be cracking now, wouldn't it? I believe you're correct. Okay, this is not good. This is not good at all. Many think they have me. I can lead you forward. Fools don't have me. Fools are... No, what do fools think they are? Combat? Deku hear a cracking sound. And he doesn't like that. Okay. That's not good. Hearing another cracking sound. And this does cause Deku to turn. As the thing behind him, he can hear it cracking more. But they're not answering a question. They're not saying anything. And the gargoyle, it does begin to awaken. Right now, its eyes begin to fill with light and glowing. And Deku, he does look back at the wall, trying to think about what it could be, what the answer to this question could be. Warriors know me, but what do they have? Spirit? No, that's not it. He has met warriors, many brave warriors. Bravery. Deku hearing a noise, turning back as the gargoyle, it does go to emit a puff of smoke. It dispersing into the air as a fly forwards, makes its way towards the wall and going to move into the door. As I was going to unlock and open for them. Right now, this being where Fova does bring her hand up and try to push onto it. Her pulling her hand back and recoiling. As it does hurt. And after hearing that sound, yeah, she does get a clutch to her hand very roughly. Deku bringing his hand up and telling her to show him. And she does express. The door was iron. This looks bad. It's pure iron. Makes sense. Deku healing it. As he does now have an idea as to what that stuff can do to them. Okay, so this is concerning then. In a large quantity. Did someone put pure iron into that man's wine? Okay. It's gotta be something. They get sick around it, but that's from prolonged exposure. Right now, she's walking directly past the door. She's not showing any symptoms, not showing anything bad, and she does keep her distance from him. Okay, but if that man just opened the bottle of wine, then drank it, then that must mean he didn't have enough time to realize what it was. Smells might be more intense, but if there's something to offset that smell, the strong scent of alcohol might be able to overpower iron, especially if it doesn't change very much. If iron just so happens to smell like blood. And Izuku, he might have figured out what they put in that man's wine. Right now, him having that thought, as right now, he does go to look around and try to see what they are walking into. It is odd. It does seem like things are going to be getting a little bit more intense. He figured out what's going on. However, right now, he does go to watch as they do going to make their way into a room. The doors opening up as a large group of creatures do stand there. And they resemble animals. Animal people? This surprising him. And Oliver does comment on it, quickly pulling his weapon, bugbears. And Izuku, he does try to sense magic in the air. Right now, he's unable to. But these creatures, they do go rushing towards them with their weapons drawn. And Deku, he does go to pull up his blade and go to put the sheath in his inventory. Quickly going to do that as his weapon does spring free of the hilt. Spring free of its confinement. Right now, him rushing forwards with speed. Him and Oliver going to collide with the two in front. And Indra just go leaping over the two, her digging her claws into the stomach of the one directly past them. And when she does to pull back her hands, she does go to watch. Right now her hands covered in clay. And this, it does go to make her smile, yelling at them that they're constructs, though they do seem powerful. The beast going to swing its hammer at her, and she does go low, before throwing her claws up and slashing out. And Deku, he does go colliding weapons with the bugbear that does go to strike his. And his sword, it does go to nearly cleave through that beast weapon entirely. It going to pull back and throw its hands up. Deku going to slash at his weapon and slicing this thing in half. It splitting in two as it does go falling backwards to the ground. It beginning to reform into a blob of goo. Deku staring at that as it does try to reform itself into one solid creature. Deku going to throw his hand down and casting fire at the clay. It going to dry out as it does begin to crack and break, unable to maintain its liquid form. And Indra, upon seeing that, she does get a laugh, turning and blasting something with fire as it does begin to break down and go to destroy itself, unable to maintain its illusion, its disguise. And Oliver, he does get to move backwards, bring up his weapon and clashing with the bugbear. Before he does get to step backwards and throw up his left hand. Before he does begin to say the incantation for ice magic. The creature going to rush at him before he has to open his hand and blast out a solid beam of ice. The creature freezing over and beginning to make its way towards him, as he has to throw his weapon up and cleave it across the head. The creature smashing the ground as he has to bring his hand up again, blasting it with ice and completely covering it in it, knowing that that will hold it for quite some time. And the beast, yeah, it'll take a while before it can get free. And if it does get free, it's going to be quite waterlogged. It is clay after all. Now, he does a turn back, Looking at the two as Deku, he does get a smile at his friend. Them being to make their way further down and encountering more of these creatures. And Pyra, she does even try to join in, using flaming arrows to try and take these things out. And there is even Sova, or Fova, who does go to attack these creatures with light magic. Her still quite happy with how this is all turning out. Now, by the time the group they do get done with the third floor, they are tired. They've been down here for a few hours. And right now, they do get to sit in the room that does at the door that does get to lead down. And Izuku, he is going over a lot in his mind. If they are correct, if he's correct, then everything he's thinking of, iron in the wine, the explanation for the burned tongue, it was potent. But as for how? Yeah. He'll have to find that out. Iron is hard to come by, isn't it? Unless it's been procured by a trader. Or if it's been brought in by the human merchant. He'll have to talk to Lillian. See how things are there. Okay. But that does mean a bit. Him going to have his eyes begin to glow and look at Aztoth. The creature hasn't sent him any updates. And right now, he does go to look around. Him scurrying across the table and looking at Lillian, who does go to turn, paying the creature, informing it that perhaps they'll know a bit more soon. Things are odd. And it does go to let out a noise at her. As Deku does ask Aztoth about any updates. No, nothing has happened. Follow them. They get annoyed. They are not nice creatures. I can imagine. Keep up the good work. If Lillian ever gets in danger, let me know. And if you do see Sir Theodore, make sure he's close to her. Okay. Deku going to look back up and lean back against the wall. He does feel a little dirty. And, well, he does smell like sweat. However, his resolve, it is still high. He's ambitious to get through this. If they can get through, they can figure out what's going on down there. And that it is good. Right now, he has a lot of worries running through his mind. And after they do get done with their rest, they do begin to head down to the fourth floor, where they do find a little bit more traps. And this, it isn't too bad. Right now, things seem good. However, they are trying to look around. This room is large. And from what he can tell, this is an interesting place. The runes on the wall, the way that you talk about this place, the story that's carved here. It's speaking of arcane things. Knowledge not a lot of people know. And Fova, she does keep her eye on Deku. Anytime he does turn his head to stare at the wall for a little too long, she wants to say something. However, he's just trying to follow their lead. And this is not too bad. Though Izuku, he does get to use search magic. Him going to watch as it is a pulse in the hallway, and he's going to wait. It covering the next two halls as he does get to tell them. There's something up ahead. Right now, Fova going to stop, asking Izuku if he does sense any traps. I don't. But stay behind me. Him stepping forwards, going to make his lights move forwards as well. And he does get to talk about it. He can't sense any traps, but that's not what he tried to look for. Okay, he's going to try to make this one a little bit more focused. A proper look at the area. Come on. Him trying to cast Search Magic again, focusing it more in the area. And it does begin to give him more information. Deku trying to find anything that could be hidden nearby. And Indra does gonna tell him, if they run into traps, they run into traps. However, right now they just need to be careful. Her looking around and trying to detect the area around them as well. It shouldn't be too bad. She's seen what Pyra did earlier, and if she's careful, stepping onto the floor, then they'll get past this very quickly. Taking a few steps in the hall as she does talk about it. They're fine. Her going to watch as Deku, he doesn't move forwards himself. Right now, however, he does go to bring up his hand, him catching a knife that flew through the air. And Fova just a recoil backwards as the blade nearly caught her in the face. And that is where Deku does hold the weapon. Him staring at that before he does go to stare at the person who does step out of the shadows. Expressing, if they're going to be caught, then they might as well show themselves. Who are you? That is for me to know, and for you not to. I was hired to kill anyone who came searching. Kill anyone? Yes. This floor does hold much treasure. And I am very happy about that. All I had to do was kill anyone who stood up searching. And then I'd be free to take what I want. You're an assassin. I do not like that term. I prefer being called a rogue. But if you do want to use that term, then sure. But I do have to say, hello, Fova. I've heard of you. Or, well, should I properly call you by your actual name? Fova staring at the man, still in a bit of shock that she almost took a knife directly to the eye. And whenever she does hear him try to mention her name, she does a step forwards, blasting up light magic directly into the man. Him going to move around and dodge. Him moving back into the shadows as he does go to appear behind them. His voice telling them all. It's quite simple. He's got a lot of information. He has done quite a lot of things, and knowing that she's here, above all else, is good. Her family screwed his over. And right now, he's glad they can make fun on the deal. Make full well shit doesn't go so bad. Isn't that right, Thila? And this, it does make her recoil. Since these people, they know her name. And Indra, she has a smile. Right now the man expressing to Thila that he believes it'd be good for her to join him. Right now, take their side in all of this. Help them take out the rest of them. Then, what? Do what they can. It's easy. Deku looking around, trying to find the source of that noise. And he doesn't hold up his hand. The person watching as Deku, he does point into the darkness. The Izuku, he does begin to mumble a spell under his breath. Right now him trying to focus a bit more, as he does go to activate dark vision and then go to blast out light magic directly towards the man. It catching him in the shoulder as he does step forwards and recoil. Right now, him going to fall forwards to the ground and disappear again. Deku going to turn as the man does a bring his hands up and grab out towards somebody. Deku turning as Pyra, she is grabbed. Her turning and blasting flames directly into the man Asha yell out the incantation as fast as possible. And he does a slice out towards her as Deku, he does go to reach out. The man getting Deku along the arm as it does go to hit his bracer. Him going to reach out for the man. Him reaching back into the shadows and turning, trying to think about what to do. And this, it isn't too bad. Right now, Deku bringing his hands up and activating dazzling flames up and down the entire hallway. The guy can't use shadows if they're not in shadows. And the moment those spells do begin to activate, Fofa does still sit there frozen and terrified. They know her true name. They know her real name. And Deku does turn, telling all of them they've got to move down the corridor. They need to get to somewhere where they have an opening. And right now, the man does come stepping out, holding a crossbow and firing it. Deku hearing the bolt fly through the air as he does get a turn. Him going to turn and grab Pyra as he does go to spin, going to create a barrier behind him and feeling this thing crash into the barrier. It hitting the ground as he does go to tell her, stay close. Turning back and looking at the man, who has disappeared back into the edge of the light. Him going to express, come on now. Him disappearing. They can play this game for a while, but he'll run out of magic. And Izuku, he is annoyed. Right now, manifesting his spirit as an aura, before he says step down the hallway, telling the man, maybe so, but if he's going to try and play games, then he can play games. Andra creating a shield behind their party. And Deku, he does go to turn his head, noticing that for a minute, as he does go running forwards into the shadows. And the man, yeah, he knows how to pull his blade, attempting to slice out at Deku since he might not be able to see him. His lucky shot may have just been that. In his spiritual aura, it does go to roar forwards, it smashing out and grabbing into the man, who does try to retreat into the shadows as Deku does hold a portion of his shirt. And the man, he does go to be annoyed. Right now, Deku lighting up the hallway again and pushing further down. And this game is played. The man does keep trying to taunt them. He keeps trying to lead them further and further into the dungeon. Deku, he does even set up a trap, it firing out and thudding into his armor, as he does make his way through the area and being a fly. Him finding himself at a crossroads, looking around at the darkness, lighting up in one direction and then turning and lighting up in the other direction, as he does go to fly to the right and yell out for this man, before he has to find the door that does lead down further to a level, assuming this is the path to the lowest floor, where the obelisk does lie. And he has a turn, seeing that the man does stand down the other corridor, and this is good. Deku following that corridor and flying down it, as he does go to turn into a room full of complete darkness. Though what light does shine in it, he can see the edge of the shadows. He knows this guy's got to be here. There's no travels for him. There's no shadows for him to travel through. There's nothing he can do to catch him off guard. And that's what Deku does think. Before a knife does a smash upwards into his leg, him looking down and seeing that his shadow, it does cast itself into the room. And that is bad. The man retreating backwards as Deku, he has a step backwards past the light. His shadow reaching backwards behind him. And that, the moment it is to happen, Deku does go to throw his leg backwards, him smashing as hard as possible towards his shadow. The man coming out as he is stroking the chest as hard as possible by Deku. Him recoiling backwards and smashing into the wall. Right now, him spitting blood. And Izuku does get a turn, grabbing the man by his mask and ripping it free, for telling him, this is enough. He'll tell him exactly what he wants to know. And the party members, You come running down the hallway. Hearing the commotion as Deku, he does stand there, holding this man as he is bleeding profusely. The wall behind him is cracked, and Izuku does have rage and aggression on his face. Who are you working for? Tell me then and I'll heal you. I can't. What do you mean you can't? I can't. Please, heal me. I don't want to die. You are evil. You are working with a demon, aren't you? The obelisk is destroyed. Answer that question. It is. It's been destroyed. Please. I can't trust your words. Who hired you? A member of the court? A fae. It was a fae, wasn't it? It was a fae. I don't know who they were. They said they can guarantee me revenge. Revenge? Yes, revenge. That's all I know. Though, there's something I do have. Him handing over the paper, he does rummage around for it in his pocket. And the moment Deku said grab the paper, the man is going to fall backwards lifeless. Deku staring at the words here. And as I turn back, bending down to heal the man. However, he does grab him, and his magic doesn't work. Deku's staring at that. He's dead. This guy's dead. And that, it does go across his mind. He's shocked. He killed a man. And Izuku, he does swallow that, but he does feel it choking back up in his throat. Him going to stand. And right now Oliver does step forwards. Seeing the look on Deku's face, he's angry. He looks in shock. His emotions are overwhelming him. Hell, this is bad. What does it say? Izuku? Yeah, sorry. We can look a bit more at this later. I need a second. Him walking down the hallway. And this isn't good. Reno Indra bringing her hand up, grabbing Deku by his shoulder and telling him. He tried to kill them. It is not his fault. However, he should heal himself. Huh? Yeah, I know. It's just your leg. Deku looking down, seeing the knife that does go through the front side of his leg, poking out through the back. And he does to bend his hand down, pulling his leg up, pulling the knife jockey free as he does go to hold on to it. Iron. It's an iron blade. Huh. Okay then. Putting it in his inventory. Before he does use healing magic on himself and walk down to the door. Right now, he just needs to gather his thoughts. Then they can go down there and look at the obelisk. Though there is Thela. She is still in shock. The assassin knew her true name. And now that it's been revealed, if any of them do go to talk to her, attempt to make deals with her, there is the possibility they may be able to put her into servitude. May be able to bind them to what they want. And that thought, it does slightly terrify her. What lengths that person must have went through. She can only think of a handful of people who know that name. And those people are some of her closest family. If they're involved with this, trying to take her life, then all of this, it's worse than she feared. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed. And have an amazing day. I'll catch you guys in the next part.